All right, guys. So I was sitting down at my table the other day, and we were playing a game of D&D, as I do. My wife says way too much. And
with those two separate statements, you play a lot of D&D, period. My wife says too much, because that's what it sounded like.
No. She says I play too much D&D. Anyways,
okay.
But I'm soldiering on regardless. And I turned to one of the players. It's a little one-shot that I'm building. I turned to one of the players, and I told him to do a roll with disadvantage. And lo and behold, the jerk rolled 2 natural 20s right off the bat.
Yeah.
That's BS.
I don't think that's allowed in Dungeons and Dragons.
So I have a quick little question for you. How far, because we were talking about sorcerers and stuff today, and the wild magic with the random tables and whatnot, kind of bring a little bit of randomness into a game. How far do you go when someone just completely explodes your expectations with a roll?
Well, I mean,
this is a roll that you're not going to get. You're rolling, it's a hard DC, and you have disadvantage.
So how far do you sort of blow it up and
exactly.
make it super?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's D&D's all math. That's a 1 in a million chance. That's about 1% of it happening. So that's 1 in a million, Dave, I think, right?
Yes.
Sure. So, I think because it's so rare, I think you really blow it up and you make it something awesome that's happened. Whether it be an attack roll, they just hit some mega pressure point and give them some extra buffs, or let them roll max damage on the dice and then double that. But I think because of how rare it is, I think you should reward people, especially reward them very well, because you give them disadvantage and they got 2 natural 20s.
Well, I come from a 3.5 background, and we never did disadvantage or advantage or anything like that. When we would roll if you'd roll a natural 20, you have to confirm the critical, which means you got to roll another d20, and if you hit the AC, then the critical is successful. On the off chance that you would roll a second natural 20, that's when, the weird once-in-a-lifetime rule comes into play.
Yeah.
Where you roll a third d20. And it doesn't do anything unless it hits a natural 20 again. And you get 3 nat 20s in a row, it's an insta-kill.
No matter what it is.
But it's not like a regular insta-kill. It's like there's no coming back from it.
It's like a Death Star.
You kill their soul.
I did this to a player as a DM one time.
What? To a player?
To a player.
Well, they deserve it.
I'd like to point out...
it's my friend Guppy. He's at a company.
Rolling 2 d20s and coming out with a natural 20 on both of them. One right after the other or at the same time.
Oh, it's like infinitesimal.
Is a 0.25% chance.
Man.
It's 1 in 400 chance.
No, I don't think it's quite that much, but 0.25% is still a lot.
No, it's a 1 in 400 chance.
I don't think that's how it works.
Math. That's how it works. Anyways, you were saying you did this to a player,
and he was a Warforged. We were playing an Eberron campaign because that's pretty much.
You really like your Eberron.
I love Eberron. I haven't looked at 5th edition Eberron yet, but
it's pretty decent.
3.5 is great. I love the steampunk aspect. In the same campaign that I killed the guy. I think he was on the top of a train fighting when he was killed. We also crashed an airship, and we also did stuff with submarines. So, the overall world is just... I like it.
I think I would like Eberron. I think I would have Eberron, but map it according to, the regular world that we know. So it'd be London would be steampunky in Eberron. I would love to do a campaign like that. But sorry, Dave, I threw you off there.
No, that's all right. No, it was great. He didn't explode into blood and mush, but wood and sparks.
I spent 2 hours sitting down with a bunch of DM buddies of mine and just nerding out about the Artificer that just got released.
I didn't let them play the Artificer. My 2 rules were you can't be a Mystic Thirds because that's crap, and you couldn't be an Artificer because that's also crap. We also never did Psionics, but I think that's pretty cool.
No,
Dan just gave me an idea of playing D&D with 5 DMs and 1 player.
And the player's the one running it?
We call that the doppelgangbang.
Sign me up.
I'm writing it down right now.
Oh, God.
That says Poppelgang. That's fine. I'll know what it means. Gangbang. 5 DMs, 1 player. Anyway, on that bombshell, let's roll those credits.
Welcome to It's a Mimic with your DMs, Adam, Dan, and Terry.
Welcome to another episode of the It's a Mimic podcast, the roundtable Dungeons and Dragons discussion where you never know what you're going to get. I am Terry, and with me, as always, is Dan, but not always, is Dave.
Hello.
Intern Dave.
And today we're talking about Sorcerers.
Ah, yeah, another class feature.
Are you guys excited about Sorcerers?
Sorcerers have traditionally been one of my favorite classes to play in Dungeons and Dragons. Okay. Had this discussion with, we mentioned it in the cold open, sat down with a bunch of my DM buddies. There's always that one player in the group that will drop the fireball off. They're playing a sorcerer, because of course they are, and they will hit that fireball in the middle of the group with abandon. Like, you'll have your fighter, your paladin, your rogue, your monk, all kind of swarming around the boss, and that's when the sorcerer thinks it's a good time to drop a fireball. I was that guy.
The first time I ever played Dungeons and Dragons, Dan, was at your place, like 15 whatever years ago.
A while ago.
And we spent so much time rolling up characters and learning how to do it. And this is 3.5, so it was a little different. But we walk into a spider cavern.
Classic.
And Dan goes, "Oh, fireball," and lights all the cobwebs and everything on fire and kills everyone except himself. So the very first time we played, Dan killed everybody else in the party
not like Dan.
with a sorcerer.
Really?
Oh, that is Dan. Very much like Dan 15 years ago.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
You're such a
I
selfless
exemplified murder hobo.
You created it. Created in Canada. I love it. Okay, well, let's get into it. Let's talk about we'll talk about sorcerers. So we'll go through the generic sorcerer a little bit. We'll talk about their general abilities they get, the flavors and archetypes and stereotypes. So there won't be too much rolling at first, but after that, then we'll start to talk about our own little subclasses that we've got, and eventually we'll start to give some unique flavor ideas.
Damn it, Dan.
So I've actually never played a sorcerer. As much as I love sorcerers, spoiler alert, I love Wild Magic Sorcerers, the idea of them, so guess what's coming up later on for me. But I really love the idea of them. So you guys have had much more experience with them. So correct me if I'm wrong on anything, or if there's something you'd like to input. But sorcerers, their magic is coming naturally. It's within their body. It's unlike a warlock where they're taking power from a patron and they're making deals. It's unlike a wizard where they have learned and studied the arcane ways so that they can manipulate magic. It is imbued within them. They have this natural ability, and with that comes this general idea that it's a bit more chaotic, that it's bursting to come out, that they not necessarily that they can't always control it, but they feel compelled to use it.
Yeah.
And also I hear that there's almost like a rivalry between wizards and sorcerers, almost like an envy from wizards that sorcerers have this natural ability to use magic. Is that something that's always been there?
That's always been the way. In 3.5,
I'm going to lean on 3.5 a lot on this side.
Yeah, you are. I'm glad Adam's not in the room. No, in 3.5, I mean, they were what is called a spontaneous caster.
Right.
They would get their, correct me, it's been a while since I played 3.5, Dave, so you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong here. You selected what spells they knew, and then it was a far smaller selection, and then they would be able to cast those
certain amount of times per day, but their number of times per day were far higher than a wizard, although their selection was far more specialized. Yeah, right? But the wizard is, if it's in your book, you could pretty much use it, right?
Yeah, but they didn't have a lot of times per day, whereas a sorcerer was just like casting for days. Like, they had about a 10-minute workday rather than the traditional 5-minute workday.
So what would you argue is their important stats? They're a charisma-based spellcaster, so charisma, if you're playing, even I would say, and I don't like the idea of min-max, I'm saying if you're a charisma spellcaster, bump that stat up, that makes sense. But what do you guys consider to be the next important stat?
Dexterity.
Okay, so hit dice 1d6 per sorcerer level. Would we agree that that's fair? Just like wizards,
all spellcasters.
That's what they deserve, and rightly so.
That's one of the reasons why I would also probably, just by the nature of sorcerers, bump up their con a little bit.
Armor proficiencies none, weapon proficiencies daggers, darts, slings, quarterstaffs, light crossbows. Okay, anything you'd like to add? I like the idea of give him a scimitar or something is kind of cool. But
I love the idea of having a crossbow. So often you're sitting there as a sorcerer in the back, and you've only got a couple of big damage dealing spells and a couple other little funny trick spells.
Yeah,
but you've got nothing that can just consistently do 6 to 8 damage that doesn't cost a spell.
Yeah.
It's nice to have that.
This is the smallest selection of weapon and proficiencies
Why not just give them
that
simple
any
weapons?
Class in the book gets.
Why not just give them simple weapons, you think? Because do you think it's because they're so powerful they need to be restricted? Like, you can't just give everybody simple weapons?
Well, if you consider, do you guys approach sorcerers like mutants in the Marvel universe, where some traumatic events happens and that's when their spell-like abilities start to pop out? Or are they popping out of the womb with some sort of minor spell-like ability?
Or is it like when they get to a certain age?
Or a certain age, does it come out with puberty?
I like the idea of when they age, because it kind of coincides as when they level, they get stronger as well. It's like maybe when they're younger, they don't, or maybe the signs of a really powerful sorcerer is that when they're young, their powers are really strong.
Mm-hmm. I like having just the 5 weapons that they can use, because those are kind of like the everyman weapon.
Yeah, they really are.
Anybody can use a dagger.
Yeah.
Anybody can use a quarterstaff. Maybe not a sling.
I'm kind of concerned like
light
crossbow club not here. I think club should be here.
Anything is a club, Dan.
Club is an actual weapon.
I mean, they got a quarterstaff.
And all of these things.
It's just a 2-handed club that they use to walk with.
I don't know. It doesn't suggest finesse, really, does it?
No.
Club. Tools, none. Yeah, whatever. Saving throws, Constitution, Charisma. And skills, choose 2 from Arcana, Deception, Insight, Intimidation, Persuasion, and Religion. So we've got all of the charisma-based ones there.
I have 2 issues with the list of spells.
Okay.
List of skills.
Skills.
1,
religion. Why religion? Yeah.
I understand maybe if you're playing a Divine Soul, religion would be important. Or if you have some sort of weird aspect, but you get your abilities from either an aberration or some sort of arcane influence in your bloodline way back.
Yeah.
Right? Whether it be a dragon or an aberration or, magic is just randomly spewing forth from you. Having knowledge of deities and gods and undead
it's not necessary.
Doesn't fit to me. And I understand they're the spellcaster. They should have bonus knowledges, but they're not the intelligent spellcaster. They shouldn't have the religion.
Yeah.
I dislike having religion.
And you said there was a second one.
Second one, insight. I don't like I don't like that they get insight, mostly because I don't see the sorcerer being like. I understand that they're trying to give them more.
It's because charisma,
conversational. Charisma but insight's wisdom.
Oh no, insight is charisma, isn't it?
Insight is wisdom.
Oh. Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it just does not fit with what they kind of build the sorcerers up to be these powerful arcane fonts that this energy is pouring through them.
Yeah.
They build them up to be that. Like intimidation, 100%. Deception, you got to hide from your skills. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But why is stealth not there? Or why is survival not there? Because let's be honest, if some random kid is getting showing magical powers in a country bumpkin family, they're throwing him out on his ass.
Yeah.
Right? So why is survival not there? Why not have, I don't know, acrobatics or athletics?
Yeah, I can see, I think there could be arguments for those, but my biggest thing that you said is the argument against religion. That's the one I'm siding with more. The others, possibility, there's an argument for it, but I just don't understand the religion side of it. Let's talk about what's special with sorcerers then with regards to sorcery points. So sorcery points is there. Every class has their thing that they can manipulate and add on to. So spellcasting, as they increase in level, they get to use more and more sorcery points, and sorcery points can be used to manipulate their magic in certain ways. This is what I love about Warlock with their invocations as well, is you can manipulate your spells, and I love this with Sorcerer. I thought that was going to make a lot of noise.
No, it was him.
So as you go further down the line, use your sorcery points and you can manipulate your spells a little bit. You can make them go further away. You can make them also.
This is the big thing, and they add this all. They are all about their meta magics, which in previous editions was the wizard's big thing.
I love this edition for this.
Yeah, right. They've really made it so the sorcerers, they focus on this kind of lower amounts of spells and being able to just use them in more situations by bringing in sorcery points. Because otherwise, I mean, your first 2 levels, you're just getting basic spellcasting.
Yeah.
And your sorcerer's origin starts right all the way at first level.
Yeah.
Which is also something weird.
So, I mean, let's go through the sorcery point options just real quickly.
Cool.
In fact, I'll just point out a couple of my favorite ones. So the quicken spell, I like the idea of. This is why sorcerers are so good as spellcasters, because there's so many variables that you can adjust as a character. For the DM, it's very hard to predict what you're going to do. If you're able to quicken your spells, which means you can now cast a spell that would normally take 1 action as a bonus action, you're able to do things extra things now on your turn that the DM may not have been able to predict. Or if you can extend the distance of your spell. Or if you can empower your spell, but you're adding on damage now. So,
or you get a second spell.
You get a second spell.
That's infinitely useful.
There's a lot of variables here. See, with the wizard, there's a lot of different spells, but the DM over time, you'll kind of learn the favorites that they go to. You'll learn their kind of role within the combat. If you've got a paladin, a couple of tanks or whatever, and so a rogue and a wizard. With a sorcerer, there's so many variables that you can manipulate. It's very hard to predict what they're going to do, and I think it makes for a very chaotic game. Chaotic combat, definitely. And that's what I like. I like throwing a bit of chaos in there. You guys know how I play, where I like to manipulate the environment and throw darkness in randomly and silence and stuff.
Yeah.
So I love this idea of sorcery points and being able to manipulate the spells.
Yeah. I also really like the idea that you can spend your sorcery points to generate spell slots if you need to. And you could also convert spell slots into sorcery points.
Yeah, you
which
can do
really
it.
Like.
You can reverse engineer.
I like that too, but it seems a lot more expensive for what you're getting, as opposed to the using it for a meta magic feat.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you need that, 5th level magic missile, you need that 5th level magic missile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you need that guaranteed hit. Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's good when you need it, but it just doesn't.
This is one of those slow rolls with the classes that you see, and with a lot of the spellcasters, where this one ability that starts off at, you get Fonts of Magic, which is where your sorcery points come from. At 2nd level, you get it really early. This becomes your go-to. This is your big resource that you're managing, and it just gets better and better and better every time.
So I mean, there's some really good ones as well. The subtle spell is one of my favorite ones. So now you can cast the spell without any somatic or verbal components. So nobody cares if you're tied up, your hands behind your back, or whatever the DM's throwing at you, you've been ambushed or whatever. You can still cast those spells. You can still launch that fireball. So I love sorcerers because they're just so chaotic. They're just difficult to manage for a DM, but for a player, you can really embrace that.
The one I didn't like was Empower.
Okay, tell me why you didn't like Empower.
No, again, I'm used to 3.5.
Right.
And Empower was you do 1.5 times damage.
Right.
In this one, you just get to reroll your damage dice. So it could come out a little weaker than what I would be used to.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess it's
when
useful.
are you going to do it, though? I'd probably re-roll on 1s and 2s. If it's 3 or higher, I'm probably just going to leave it.
Yeah, it's just, you have to roll a lot of 1s and 2s in order for it to be real practical.
Yeah.
The power of the empowered spell meta magic is the fact that you could pair it with other meta magics. That's where a lot of that power comes from. So not only are you re-rolling damage dice, but you're also throwing distance on there, or you're making that spell that has a range of touch, say like Shocking Grasp or something. You're making that a 30-foot long spell, right? So now you have a multiple I think it's D8s in this edition, shocking attack with advantage at a long range, and you're rolling multiple dice. And I like to also point out with Empower, I love Empower, by the way. In this edition, I love it. Because you spend 1 dice to be able to re-roll any number of those dice up to your charisma modifier, which is your main casting stat.
Yeah.
True. So it's minimum 3.
I suppose if you're going to go out and try to blow your whole load in one go, and you fail miserably, that it really helps.
Yeah. Yes, it does. It's kind of an oh shit button, but I'm kind of like you on this one, Terry. I love Subtle Spell.
Yeah.
And I love it mainly for a oh shit button. Your entire class is based off of this magic coming from within. So if you are bound in prison because, I don't know, you guys started a bar fight and killed one of the bouncers or something along those lines, and you're bound in prison, your sorcerer still has options. Your wizard's fucked.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Hence the rivalry. I like it because, and I think this gets overlooked too often for my liking, but I like, even though it's a fantastical game, I like to throw some realism in there. You can then cast the spell without having to roll a stealth check or re-roll a stealth check. So if you're hiding in the shadows, I think too often people are casting spells. And I'm like, what's the components of that? Verbal. Okay. So you're saying the word abracadabra or whatever.
I hear this all the time on actual plays, and it drives me insane, where they're like having an intense conversation with a bunch of guards, And they all walk up to that one person who's kind of helming the conversation and cast guidance on them.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you're standing in front of a bunch of guards and you start waving your fingers in arcane pattern and speaking in abyssal in front of them.
Yeah.
You're getting a crossbow bolt to the throat.
How do you guys imagine the magic as well? Just as a side note, do you imagine it Lord of the Rings style Gandalf, where you don't really see the magic, you just see the world being manipulated, like someone just flies backwards? Or do you imagine it like World of Warcraft style, where there's big clocks and things appearing and kind of purple lettering and stuff in the sky? So if somebody starts to cast a spell, do you see it?
So the way I view it is if you look at lightsabers, this is going to be weird, but stay with me here. You have your original trilogy and even your prequel trilogy lightsabers.
I just watched
and they're very. Of course you did.
Not Attack of the Clones. What's the third one?
Attack of the Clones.
Oh, Attack of the Clones. Yeah, that one.
Was it? No. Revenge of the Sith.
Revenge of the Sith. Yeah.
Rise of the Sith.
Yes. No,
Okay.
Revenge.
Okay, cool.
Revenge of the Fifth.
I banished those movies from my...
Oh, you're missing out. It's a meme goldmine.
It really, truly is. But anyways, you look at those movies and you see these weapons. They're delicate. They're intricate. And the blades that they produce are very clean and like pure, right? They are beams of light. You watch the new trilogy that's coming out,
The sequels.
the sequels.
Yeah.
And the lightsabers that like Kylo Ren is using drips. It's raw and it's
You're right.
and it's-
Yeah, you're right.
And it's
You're right.
very rough. And this is the kind of way I view it. Your wizards are going to have very delicate spell casting. They're the ones that are going to have these intricate runes spinning in
It's
front
like
of them.
magical finesse.
It's very magical finesse, right? And
Yeah.
they have spent years upon years of hard study to be able to do it. Your sorcerer is accidentally throwing things up.
Yeah.
Right? So your sorcerer is going to sit there and he's going to cast a fireball. Literal fire is going to spew from his hands and become a fireball.
Start pouring on the floor. And
right?
stuff.
And there's going to be slag pouring on the floor as it goes.
Yeah. It's like the difference between Cyclops and Havoc. That's how I kind of
Precisely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is the way I kind of view it, is there's chaos and order in the sorcerer wizard dichotomy, right? And then if you like to play that more ordered, very collected and intelligent character, you're going to go towards this. But if you like just the raw power of a spellcaster, you're going to go sorcerer.
Absolutely. One thing I forgot to mention that I want to touch on just before we move on. Saving throws are charisma and constitution. Charisma seems to make sense.
Yeah.
Constitution.
I have a defense.
Okay, go.
My defense for Constitution is you are born with these powers and they are constantly going off. You have learned to weather the crap that your body
You basically
randomly
have
throws out.
arcane chaos flowing through your veins at all times. Yeah, you can take a bit of poison every now and again. You'll be fine. Dave, any argument on that?
No, I like it.
Good. You agree far too much for this podcast. The idea...
Well, I'm not the other host.
Okay, that's right. You're the wizard to the sorcerer of Adam. Okay, guys, so as we approach topic 2 here, we'll start to roll some dice in just a second. We got right onto sorcery points. A couple of things I want to mention before we go in. Starting at level 1, this is where you get to your sorcerer's origin begins. So you get to choose your bloodline of where you come from, whether it be Wild Magic, Draconic Bloodline. Important things to note is you get 4 cantrips, and you are a charisma-based spellcaster. So I want to lay that out there from the start, so as we go into our subclasses, everybody knows what we're talking about.
All the way through, sorcerers get more cantrips than anybody else.
Than anybody else. Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we'll talk more about that in detail in just a second, but before that, let's hit our commercial.
Hey guys, Dan here with Adam. Normally this is a commercial spot, but because year 1 of the It's a Mimic podcast has surpassed all of our expectations because of you guys and the interactions we've had with you guys, this community that's built up around this podcast, we really wanted to reach out to you guys and give you kind of a taste of what year 2 is going to be like.
It's going to be even better. So normally we do lore episodes, and what we're going to do now is we're going to start looking at the popular campaign settings that have been published already for 5th edition.
Our world building series that we've had through year 1 is changing to be a breakdown of the races in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition.
Yep, we're still going to do class breakdowns because we're not even halfway done the subclasses, so each class is going to get even more subclass breakdowns, as we go. Some of them will even have 3 or 4 episodes because of how many they have.
Oh, yeah. We're going to be changing our coverage of the mob mentalities and changing it to portfolios as we break down some of the big monsters in D&D.
Yep, we're also going to take our Dungeon Mastery episodes, and we're going to focus more on mechanics and the nitty-gritties of the game and how to use them in session.
We are also still going to be continuing with our really popular Dragon Mastery episodes, but instead of covering all the chromatics, now we're covering the metallics and more.
We have more actual plays coming, including sequels to some of the stuff that we've already put out there. We've got more giveaways coming this year, more mailbags, and more random specials. But most importantly, the thing that Dan and I are the most excited about is this second show that we are building.
It's called the Campaign Builder, and it's Adam and I with our 2 completely different DM styles, kind of building inspiration for a campaign from session 0 to the very end. We're going session by session, tier by tier, level by level, encounter by encounter, idea by idea, even if they suck.
Yes, even the bad stuff will be in there so you can hear our foibles and how much that we are just as human as you. We also want your interaction. It's going to be a highly interactive show, and so it's going to be on the same channel. It's going to be an additional episode on the channel every week, so you're going to get to hear our voices twice. We're not apologizing for that.
You're welcome.
But you know where to find us, okay? But your friends don't. We have our website. It's www.itsamimic.com. We're on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and most of the podcast catchers. But the thing that we are lacking more than anything else is the word of mouth. It really helps us. We need reviews on iTunes and every podcast catcher out there, and we need social media tags. So I'm kind of selling my soul to please help us get the word out, because this upcoming year is just going to be more and more. It's bigger and better, and Dan is never going to sleep again.
No, I rarely sleep now as it is. Anyways, guys, thank you again so much for the success of year 1. We're really looking forward to year 2, but we should really take the ball gag off of Terry because he's getting itchy and we need to record.
Yes, that's more excitement than I'm comfortable with.
And we're back. We're going to talk about our sorcerer subclasses. So we've each chosen one. I'm not going to give it away just yet. I already gave mine away. But we'll roll some dice. We'll go in order, and then when your turn comes up, you can talk about your subclass, and we'll go through with all of your abilities. And we can even argue about some stuff you would like to. I'm going to roll a black one because I'm, of course, Sith.
I'll roll the green one because, of course, I'm Irish.
Qui-Gon Jinn.
I'll roll the red one because I'm not Adam.
If me and you formed together, we would look like Qui-Gon Jinn.
Wow.
Who is my favorite
wow.
Would we really?
Jedi. He's got a beard and long hair.
And, well, most of a beard, which...
Yeah, unless we went, like, no beard and short hair, and that would just be...
Obi-Wan Kenobi? Played by Ewan McGregor?
No.
Sure.
No, not...
I don't know. Let's roll this thing.
Okay, let's do this.
Oh.
A 3,
3 for Terry.
a 4,
for
and
Dan.
a 1.
1. Dan wins with a 4.
What the hell?
This is what happens. We're actually not very good at Dungeons & Dragons. We red rolled a lot.
All right, so Sorcerous Origins, which you get, of course, at first level, really impact your character right off the bat. And when you look through the player's handbook, you see that there are only 2 of them. I decided, screw that nonsense. I don't want to cover either of them. I'm going to go to one of my favorite books, Xanathar's, and grab one of my favorite bloodlines or Sorcerer's Origins, The Divine Soul. Freaking love these guys.
Okay.
So, a Divine Soul is a sorcerer who has been empowered in the past, whether it be from whatever source it is that is giving this sorcerer their power. Whatever celestial touch has impacted this family line, this sorcerer is not only able to cast sorcerer spells, but also could choose their spells from the cleric spell list.
So is this different to cleric as in
Cool.
that the divine magic has not been given to them specifically, but it comes from their bloodline?
It comes from
so
their
it's like
bloodline.
a gene that's laid dormant and has emerged.
Yeah,
for this
so the way I think about it is like a Deva or an Empyrean, or your family is blessed by a god, or something along those lines. Some high-powered celestial being has blessed your family so powerfully that is pouring out of you through arcane and divine magic.
Could you have a sorcerer that was the grandchild or great-grandchild of a cleric? And so that's where and then that magic emerged again.
Or well, you could have that one character who is in a family of clerics or paladins. My father before me was a pastor, and his father was a pastor, and a pastor all the way down the line. And then here comes, Bubba Joe, the sorcerer, who comes out of the room spewing burning hands.
Yeah.
Right?
Cleansing by fire.
Cleansing by fire, but also, okay, now he could also cast Scorching,
Scorching Ray?
Sacred Blast.
Oh, so I thought you were going to say Scorching Ray. Scorching Ray was an overweight stripper in my town when I was younger. But anyway, go on.
That's terrible. So anyways,
Wow.
Right out the gate at first level, you get access to Divine Magic, which allows you to choose a new spell from both the Cleric spell list or the Sorcerer spell list. You could choose from either one. And if you know anything about the Cleric spell list, it's huge and has a lot of fun toys to play with. In addition, you choose an affinity of the source of your divine power. This does not have had to have been a good celestial being. This could have been a good and evil, a good aligned, an evil aligned, a law aligned, a chaos aligned, or a neutrality aligned deity that is imposing its will. And right at first level, you choose the source of your divine power. And if you do, you learn one more additional spell depending on that choice. So if you choose good, you get Cure Wounds. If you choose evil, you get Inflict Wounds. If you choose law, you get Bless. If you choose chaos, you get Bane. And if you choose neutrality, you get protection from evil and good. Which is awesome. And this is added to your shortened spell list because you're a sorcerer.
Go Bane every time.
Yeah.
Amazing spell.
Amazing spell. Bless, on the other hand.
No, it's good.
I really like... Bless, Bane makes your DM shake his head. Bless makes your players
Not
happier.
their head? Yeah.
Well, it makes them happy,
I
right?
tried flipping, like when you reverse strategies and try different things in D&D.
Yeah.
I used to rock Bane all the time while our wizard would do the big blasting. I'd be concentrating on Bane to reduce the save throws, blah, blah. And then switched it, like, okay, well, I'll just do Bless instead, which instead of bringing somebody down, bring somebody up a little bit. And I just didn't enjoy it as much.
The thing
It
is,
doesn't work as well.
when Bane goes off, it feels better.
Yeah.
Because that thing failed a save and thus are afflicted with your Bane.
Yeah.
Bless, everyone is just going to accept it, whoever you're casting Bless on. So it's just a buff that you're going through, and then you're continuing with the motions.
Yeah.
And it's also concentration.
And
so
I
it
always
hamstrings
forget
you.
about Bless as well, because the players are not going to remember. It wasn't their spell, but I always forget as well.
Yeah. Well, you just become that one... the cleric in the party is always the one who's reminding everyone to add their D4 for Bless and curing. That's all they do.
Yeah.
Right? So
and as a cleric, I did neither of those things. So.
And now, as a sorcerer, you have that burden as well.
I played a cleric purely so I could heal myself.
Okay. Starting at level 1, you are also favored by the gods. If you fail a saving throw or miss with an attack roll, you can roll 2d4 and add it to the total.
2d4.
That's useful.
Man,
That's useful. When you use this feature, you can't use it again until a short rest or a long rest.
So if you're missing by 2, it's just auto hits at that point, right? So yeah,
right. And this is just that little push. Like if your DM goes, "Oh, you're so close," you could be like, "Well, one sec, no, I hit him."
Yeah,
right. And I would like to point out, with a lot of these type of spells, it does mention the fact that the DM and there's a timing to it. Mm-hmm. There's no mention of that here. If the DM says you miss it, you'd be like, "Okay, well, no, I want to try."
Yeah,
right. Rather, before the final word has been said on whether or not this attack or spell fails, you can go.
Nice.
So, at 6th level, you get Empowered Healing, which means divine energy courses through your veins and empowers your spells, specifically your healing spells. When you or an ally within 5 feet of you rolls a dice for a healing spell, you can spend a sorcery point to reroll any number of those dice once.
Nice.
Yeah. And you can only use this feature once per turn, but you can use it as many turns as you have sorcery points for. Right? What this means is your cleric is casting a heal on somebody and they're rolling nothing but ones. Mm-hmm. Your Divine Soul Sorcerer walks up, and just by being near the Divine Soul Sorcerer, that cleric gets the ability to reroll a little bit more.
Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. At 14th level, you get wings.
Like the band, or?
No, like you drink Red Bull.
Nobody really gets wings.
So
what kind of wings?
You get a pair of spectral wings that you can manifest as a bonus action on your turn. While they're present, you get a fly speed of 30 feet.
That'll do.
And they last until you're incapacitated, you die, or you dismiss them as a bonus action.
And how long? And sorry, how do you activate them?
As a bonus action.
And you get that, and it's just once per day. That's good to know.
There is no limitation to it. So you wake up in the morning, say you spend that bonus action, they could stick around all day.
Nice.
So at 14th level, you can now fly all day.
Love it.
Air day.
You're going to need it. A lot of aerial battles at that point anyway.
The other little point here is the affinity you choose for your divine magic determines the appearance of the wings. They can either be eagle wings if you're good or law, bat wings if you're evil or chaos, and dragonfly wings if you're neutral.
Bat wings was if you're chaos?
If you're chaos.
Obviously.
Evil or chaos.
Yeah.
So you get large bat-like wings.
Love it.
Yeah. And then at 18th level, you get Unearthly Recovery, which gives you the ability to kind of gain some of your own health. As a bonus action, if you have fewer than half your hit points, you can regain a number of hit points equal to half your hit point maximum.
Nice.
That's useful.
As a bonus action.
But a lot of bonus action stuff going on here. Do you know what? I like it.
Yeah. This recharges on a long rest.
I'm more and more attracted to being a sorcerer all the time, I think.
Okay. So this, fairly simple for a bloodline. Like, I mean, there's not a whole hell of a lot going on
Good
here.
introductory to spellcasting, though. Do you think?
Definitely not. This is... you mentioned earlier that you don't like Mystic Thurges. I have always loved my characters that are 9th level Arcane or Divine Casters.
I love Mystic Thurges. I just hate DMing for Mystic Thurges.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Dan likes Mystic Sturges.
Fuck them. This is a character who could, in theory, cast a 9th level Divine and a 9th level Arcane spell in a turn.
Man. Powerful. I love it.
How divine?
What arcane and divine spells would you choose to cast?
What arcane and divine spells would I choose? I mean...
Wish is always useful.
Time Stop, and then mess them up with a bunch of cleric spells. Like, off the top of my head, I can't think of Divine Intervention. Time Stop and Divine Intervention?
Yeah.
I'd have to think about it. What 9th level cleric spell would be fun to just drop?
Just to drop?
Yeah. But, anyways, that's the Divine Soul from Xanathar's.
Love it. Who's going next? It was
You.
me, I think. I got Wild Magic. And I love this because
Everybody settle in. This is going to be a while.
Everybody settle in. And
also known as whatever happens whenever a Wild Magic player casts a first level spell.
That's why I love though, because I love being the chaos that goes into the D&D game. Where, like, I mean, I played a lot with Adam as the DM, where he's just like, I don't know, man, fuck, do what you're gonna do, and I just love that chaos. So Wild Magic, they get their powers imbued in them from some sort of like anomaly in nature, some sort of natural force, where they'd be going through a portal and for whatever reason the power's thrown into them. Before the Storm Sorcerer came along, I had a character in a one-shot I played that got hers from a storm. She was struck by purple lightning or something and gave it there. I know that maybe wouldn't work as much now because there's another option for that, but I like the idea of it coming straight from nature. So what's important about the Wild Magic Sorcerer is the Wild Magic Surge. The Wild Magic Surge table is at times hilarious, at times powerful. I love the fact that you can customize it. Basically, whatever happens at once per turn, if they wish, whenever you cast a spell, the DM can ask you to roll a d20. If you roll, I believe it's a 1. If you roll a 1, you then roll on the Wild Magic table, where any number of crazy things can happen. Dan, you look like you're ready to pick a couple out. I know one of them is you turn into a potted plant.
Yep.
I love that.
There are 50 options.
Yeah.
Like basically for every two.
You know what? Instagram's full of people adding their own as well.
Yeah.
Everything
and
metal.
I would as well. But some of these things are insane. Like if you are a first level caster and you roll that 1 after casting, I don't know, mage armor on yourself.
Yeah.
To start the day, and you roll the 1 and then you roll a 9 or a 10, you immediately cast Magic Missile as a 5th level spell. As your level 1 sorcerer, you cast mage armor on yourself, and then you're spewing magic missiles.
And you couldn't do it again if you tried.
And you couldn't do it again if you tried. I like having magical. So there is a idea out there that is exemplified in a webcomic called Goblins. And it is called, this idea is like a magical effect aura that happens. And whenever these guys are accessing their powers, they get this magical effect aura, like one of them will glow yellow, or some sort of psionic thing, almost like Psylocke from X-Men.
Right.
This kind of thing will manifest when they're manifesting their abilities. I like doing that with Magic Surge as well. So usually something that ties into your bloodline or your sorcerer's origin will also, like a weird little sensory effect will accompany any number of these lists.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if you roll a 45 or 46 and you cast Levitate on yourself, there will be like this strong wind that blows up and pulls you up. And then there's this, light wind that is always following you.
I like the idea, because people add their own in, of things that will affect everybody. So I had this idea of everybody shrinks, like Ant-Man. And I love the idea of fighting in the wizard's tower on the wizard's table.
Yeah.
With his like coffee mug and stuff around, blasting off these spells, and everybody's tiny. Or if you're going to do levitate, everybody levitates.
Yeah.
But you're not flying, you're just levitating. And everybody is, so good luck there.
Yeah, everyone's hovering exactly 2.5 inches off the ground.
I love those chaotic ones. Everything metal turns to wood, everything wooden turns to metal. Just be hilarious.
Yeah, I like the ones that are kind of... it depends on where you are in the game. If you're a first level, it doesn't really matter. But if you're 20th level, it can really bite you in the ass.
I like the idea.
Like the 68 or 67, 68. You are frightened by the nearest creature until the end of your turn. Can you imagine a 20th level sorcerer being frightened by a kobold? It's like, you like let go and you kill just about everything, but there's one little kobold left. But you are terrified of it.
But Dan's right. It shouldn't be like, oh, this just happens. You should, make a way that it seems like, be creative with it. Why it happens? So that kobold thing, I'd go full on Batman Begins with it. Like, you see it as like some sort of terrifying beast. Mm-hmm. And I'd put that across, and that's why you're frightened of it.
One of my other favorite ones is if you roll a 57 or 58.
Go on, what's that?
For the next minute, any flammable object you touch that isn't being worn or carried by another creature bursts into flames.
Love it.
I open the door, it bursts into flames. I walk into the room, it bursts into flames. Like, everything bursts into flames.
I love it. And also, if you're a new DM and you have a Wild Magic Sorcerer playing at your table, just be aware of that, because you're going to have to think on your toes a lot. A lot of theater of the mind going on here.
Yeah, that key phrase, that isn't worn or carried by another person.
I love it.
By the way, yeah. What, you got some favorite ones here, Terry?
No, I love the levitate one. I guess I don't have favorite ones. I just like to manipulate the existing ones. If it's going to be levitate, I would make them roll again. And if whatever they get, I would make everybody levitate. Or I would, pick a random person to turn into a potted plant or whatever. Or maybe not turn into a potted plant. Maybe turn into a water elemental. That would be hilarious. But I think they're all great. I love you get on Instagram. There's so many good ideas.
Oh, there's one that I'm not a huge fan of, and that is let's see if I can find it here. Oh, 2324. You turn a vibrant shade of blue. Period.
You're just always like
a remove curse spell can end that effect.
Remove curse.
I'd give it restoration as well. That's a restoration that happen.
That means if you're a first level character and you've built a lot into your charisma caster, let's be honest, you're building a lot into your sultry tiefling caster who's slinking around the battlefield with a red skin, and you're trying to evoke this.
And then all of a sudden it turns out you blew yourself?
Yeah, all of a sudden you blew yourself. Yeah.
What about if you're the human that goes Blue Man Group? Like, really early? Or what if you're like the high elf that now looks like a tiefling?
Yeah, right? Like, this could mess with a character right out the gate. So, like...
But I would kind of, as a DM, I would gauge the player's interest in it. If they turn blue and they're into it, I might make it a little harder for it to go away. If they really don't like it, I would probably get a way for them to remove that pretty quick.
Yeah.
You got to kind of...
A remove curse will remove it, but like it slowly fades over the next week.
Yeah.
Or something like that, right? So, what else do we got with Wild Magic Sorcerers here?
So, Tides of Chaos. So, starting at first level, you can manipulate the forces of chance and chaos to gain advantage on one attack roll, ability check, or saving throw. Once you do so, you must finish a long rest before you can use this feature again. Anytime before you regain the use of this feature, the DM can have you roll on the Wild Magic Surge table. Immediately after you cast a sorcerer spell at first level or higher, you then regain the use of this feature. So, basically, you just get advantage on an attack roll, ability check, or a saving throw. Attack rolls, I don't think it's going to come in too much for sorcerers, but ability check, saving throw,
This screams to me as a multiclass.
Right.
You roll a rogue, and you take a single level of sorcerer.
So now you're getting that sneak attack all the time. That sneak attack.
Your sneak attack once per long rest. But if you go at Arcane Trickster Rogue...
And as I did, hilarious character.
You now have first level spells as well and above, and you make them roll just like anyone else on that Wild Magic table. And if they roll on the Wild Magic table, they get that advantage back.
Yeah.
Before that long rest comes back. So you take one level of Wild Magic Sorcerer going into Rogue, and you're just hoping for that Tides of Chaos ability. Yeah. It's great. I love it. I love the Tides of Chaos ability.
Love it too. What about this one? Bend Luck. Starting at 6th level, you have the ability to twist fate using your Wild Magic. When another creature you can see makes an attack roll, an ability check, or a saving throw, you can use your reaction and spend 2 sorcery points to roll 1d4 and apply the number rolled as a bonus or penalty, your choice, to the creature's roll. You can do so after the creature rolls, but before any of the effects of the roll occur. It's basically Bane or Bless on one person, is essentially, and you get to choose which one you're going to do.
Its cost is too high.
The 2 sorcery points?
Yeah.
I'm not going to use 2 sorcery points.
No, I would never use this with 2. However, if it was spend your reaction and spend 1, I'd be more inclined to do it.
Yeah, I'm not.
And I understand you get a lot of sorcerer points. You get how many here you get basically 1 a level.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. But at 6th level, you are spending a third of your sorcery points
at this
just to cast Bane or Bless on one person.
At this point, I'm still using them on Tides of Chaos,
I
think. I'm still using them on the last ability. I'm not going to... it would have to be... I'd have to have a really bad feeling. It'd have to be an emergency if I'm going to do that. Mm-hmm. And I'm quite a selfish player, so probably not. Controlled Chaos, at 14th level, you gain a modicum of control over the surges of your Wild Magic. Whenever you roll on the Wild Magic Surge table, you can roll twice and use either number.
I would add or both.
Oh, shoot, yeah. I'd maybe do or both.
Yeah.
Depending on how it went.
You could roll either or both. This is a 14th level ability.
Do you know what? I wouldn't show them what they rolled, and then I'd let them choose. You can use like left hand or right hand or both. Which one do you want?
No. I would almost say I would remove the ability to choose here.
Right.
I like it because it's pretty much advantage or disadvantage for your Wild Magic table.
Yeah.
But like if you're 14th level, why can't you have a little bit of fun with this and have 2 effects go off at once?
Right.
You cast Levitate on yourself and fly on a random person within 60 feet of you.
Love it.
You turn blue and that person sprouts wings.
Yeah.
Like, you cast a 5th level magic missile, which at 14th level is, whatever.
Or you turn blue and sprout rings.
Or you turn blue and you sprout blue wings. Right?
Hilarious.
Or like any combination of these things, like butterflies and little sensory effects surround the person, and you go invisible and you cannot be heard either.
Yeah.
Right? Like, these are all things on the Wild Magic table. I don't see why both of these going off at the same time can't happen.
I'm all right with it. And,
it seems... I know it's 14th level, but it seems a lot more powerful if you can do both. It has that potential.
If everything on the Wild Magic table was beneficial, and not everything on this table is beneficial.
But none of it's super terrible.
Some of it's super terrible. Some of it is super terrible.
It's all situation based, I think.
I guess if you have like a verbal component, and all of a sudden for the next minute, when you try to speak, pig bubbles come floating out of your mouth, that's probably not great for you.
Mm-hmm. Or if
it's just a minute.
What about if you fall into the pit below and you try and fly out and you turn yourself into a potted plant? Nobody else is there. You're spending eternity as a potted plant now.
Yep.
You turn into a potted plant and cast mirror image.
Or you
have 2 potted plants.
You may be inside of a gelatinous cube and you try and thunderstep or something out of there and you turn into a potted plant. You're now a potted plant inside a gelatinous cube.
Or you get older. Imagine rolling double 34s or 35s.
Yeah.
And you roll a d10 and you roll 2 9s.
You get 6 years older and 3 years younger at the same time.
Yeah.
Would you change any stats for that? Would you be like, look, we're going to knock 1 from your dex, but add 1 to your wisdom or something? Give them the option for it?
I'd give them an option for it. I'm not sure what there is in terms of rules for aging in the game. There's a lot of
so vague.
There's a lot of stuff that brings up rules for aging.
Would you remember that with Druid? where the whole thing about you age 1 year for every 10 or something. But by that point, we were like, who cares?
Yeah,
it never
exactly.
comes up in a game.
Yeah.
You know? Okay, spell bombardment. Beginning at 18th level, the harmful energy of your spell intensifies. When you roll damage for a spell and roll the highest number possible on any of the dice, choose one of those dice, roll it again, and add the roll to the damage. You can use this feature only once per turn. Am I just not doing good math here? Does this not seem very powerful for
This
18th
is
level?
massively powerful.
Why is it massive? Because it just seems like it's not for me.
Okay, so say you are... Dave, you've played 3.5.
Oh,
You did mention it.
Far too much.
Far too much. You understand the concept of exploding dice.
Far too much.
So what this is this is 5th edition's only foray into the concept of exploding dice. And what exploding dice is, what that entire thing is you have the ability to just continuously add more and more. Sorry. Continuously add more and more damage to the thing. So say you hit someone with, let's go with a good old-fashioned fireball. Right out the gate at 3rd level, a fireball is going to give you 8d6 fire damage.
Right.
With every level higher than that, it's a 3rd level spell, so 6 levels of spells higher, you could get up to another d6 per level. So you could have 14d6
Right.
you're hitting things with.
Even in 3.5, it was maximum 10.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? Now, imagine you roll that. You roll 14d6. You're going to get some 6s from that.
Yeah.
So you're going to get probably 3.
Yeah.
You then grab those 3 6s and you roll them again and continue to add that damage.
Right.
Right?
If you roll another 6...
If you roll another 6, you do it again.
You do it again.
Oh, hold on. No, you can only use this feature once per turn.
Once per turn? Okay, so yeah, it would only happen the once. But still, you use this feature with your big damage spells, and you're adding possibly up to a 3rd more dice to the spell.
Nice.
Pool, right? This is going to
No, you're right, actually, when I think about it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you can only do it to 1. So even if you roll 6 natural 6s, then you're still only getting to re-roll 1d6.
choose one of those dice. I did not read it.
So you're only
fully.
going to get 5 more.
Okay, well,
Then yes,
sacrifice-
you're right. It's vastly underpowered.
For 18th level,
But I mean,
To
once
go-
per turn.
to go, yeah, but still, to go, okay, I caused 54 points of damage. Nope, sorry. 57. You're 18th level. Alright, okay. You know, it's,
There
Yeah,
have
no,
been
you're
many times where that extra 2 or 3 damage has been the difference between
And
life and
that's
death.
going to be the argument. I would definitely say this once per turn, you could explode all your dice. If you roll maximum on the dice, you get to explode it. It's an 18th level capstone, man.
yeah, you should be able to do it the way you said.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've argued before much more rules is written, but in this case, it's bullshit, and I haven't heard a good argument why it should be played that way.
With using some DM magic, I would kind of maybe adjust it a little bit so that it's not that powerful as Dan's suggesting, because it doesn't seem like it's supposed to be that powerful. But maybe you get them to spend a sorcery point for every die that they want to re-roll.
Yeah, I could see that. I
Like,
mean, when you
just-
pair that with, like, you consider this, like, 18th level capstone. The Sorcerer 20th level capstone, which we never mentioned, is weak. It really is. You regain 4 sorcery points at a short rest. That's all it does. Mm-hmm. Right? So if you are gaining the ability to be able to spend a little bit of extra sorcery points to get more damage out, because remember, this also is paired with your twinned spell. Right? This is also paired with your empowered spell at the same time, right? So you could be doing a ton of damage as it is, right? So if you're free to let your players just grab additional sorcery points and then pick up every dice that is like a sorcery point per dice, sure, go nuts.
Yeah, yeah.
I just feel like you got to have some trade-off in order to get...
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. But that's the rules. That's what it is. Yeah, I mean, if you guys can come to some agreement to change it, that's fine. But the overall thing I want to put across about Wild Magic is you got to just prepare for absolute chaos. This Sorcerer's Origin just embraces chaos is what's going to be happening. Unpredictable chaos, and you just got to think on your feet and deal with it. And that's not just the DM, that's the other players as well. You're essentially saying to your party, hey, look, I can be very powerful at times, but I don't know what's going to happen, man. I'm rolling on a random table, which we're probably going to sub things in and out every time you get one. I'll put something else in. Yeah. But I love
My only other problem with the Wild Magic Sorcerer is there are too many gates for the fun to happen. You have to cast a first level spell, so this doesn't go off on cantrips, and you're a sorcerer. You get more cantrips than any other class. So you have to roll a first level or higher spell. And then with that rolling of a first level or higher spell, you are rolling a d20. And if you roll a natural 1 on that d20, only then are you allowed to roll on the Wild Magic table. I would increase those chances. I would say if you roll 5 or lower, if you roll odd, if you grab a percentile and roll under 50 or
Honestly,
something.
I would do it like a hit and miss. If you're successful, you don't. If you're unsuccessful, you do.
Because let's be completely honest as well. Like the Wild Magic table you mentioned is mostly beneficial stuff.
It can
and
be.
fun stuff, right? So you are rolling a Wild Magic Sorcerer to roll on the Wild Magic table, and it is far too hard to get on that table.
Yeah.
Because you get at first level, right out the gate, you are able to cast 2 first level spells. So once per long rest, you get 2 chances to roll a natural 1 on a d20 per in-game day.
I would maybe do it. Every time you finish a long rest, you have to roll on a table. And this table determines how your wild magic surge kicks in. So it might be, because you just gave me some ideas there, Dave. Oh, I've just woken up from my long rest. Perfect, roll on this table. You rolled a 7. Every time you roll an odd number, we're going to roll on the wild magic table. Every time you roll 5 or lower, we're going to roll on the... So every day it can be different. Mm-hmm. And I think the players will really like that. I think it'll be a lot of fun. And I think, again, it just adds to that chaotic nature of the wild magic sorcerer.
Love it.
Yeah, just to go back to what I was saying about...
Dungeons and Dragons, Dave.
Yes, Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungeons and Lord. Dave, the war's over. We're talking
Terry,
about...
why did we choose the intern? I mean, we could have called
We're not
Brad. We
paying
could have
him.
called... Oh, that's what it is.
God damn it, Dad.
You get room and board and 2 meals a day, okay?
Going back
He's
to
working for that third.
going back to that pass-fail.
Yeah.
I like the idea that if you're throwing this magic out from inside you, which is what the sorcerer really is, and it needs that target. It needs to be absorbed by something. So if you hit your target and it works, great. But if you miss and you screw it up, that's when it comes back to you. Like that magic has to go somewhere. You can't just be like, cast your spell and it just fizzles into nothing.
Yeah.
It's something. Every action has to have an opposite and equal reaction.
Yeah.
That's what I like about it.
Sure. Cool. I like that as well, actually. I think it can work. I'll put that on my table. Oh, yeah. Love it. Guys, that's me, unless there's anything else you guys want to add to Wild Magic Sorcerer that
I do like Wild Magic Sorcerers. I have a Wild Magic Sorcerer at one of the tables I play, and we have lots of fun with it. But, I don't know. There's one more in this book, so want to try to...
Yeah, I got Draconic Bloodlines. The Draconic Bloodline, it comes from... It's right in the name, guys. You have dragon blood in you somewhere.
Okay.
Maybe great-granddaddy was a bard and got busy with the dragon.
It's happened before. It'll happen again.
Yeah.
Someone climbed that mountain finally. Someone made the legend that all bards aspire to.
Right? The idea that I kind of was thinking about that I liked was... maybe as a child you were incredibly sick and the only way to cure you was to give you dragon blood or something like that.
If you're seducing dragons, you are incredibly sick.
But I like the idea of having the magic, but you didn't really want it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this is where I like from the Draconic Bloodline.
Can I just say, if you're playing a dragonborn sorcerer...
Yeah, come on, guys.
Like,
you have to.
You have to. You're not a divine soul draconic. You're not a divine soul dragonborn sorcerer.
I like
this is double dipping.
Yeah,
I like the dragonborn sorcerer though. That's not Draconic Bloodline, but everybody assumes.
Yeah,
right. Did you just assume my sorcerer's origin?
Or the better one, the dragonborn that is a different type of dragon.
Yeah.
So you have like the copper dragon that's sitting there spewing fireball breath.
That's interesting. I like that. What you get with the Draconic Bloodline at first level is Dragon Ancestor. You get to pick which color of dragon that
gave you the...
that gave you the
so just like
blood.
Dan said, you might be copper, but you got it from a black dragon or something.
Yeah, and this will come into play in a couple of the other later abilities, but also at first level, you pick the color, you become literate in Draconic. If you're interacting with dragons, you can add your proficiency bonus, or you can double your proficiency bonus when you're rolling to interact with dragons.
Okay.
Now, does this include Dragonborn?
Are they dragon?
They get Draconic. They're Dragonborns.
I would imagine
But
you can
they're
speak
humanoid.
with them, but it says specifically dragons.
They're not dragons, they're humanoids.
Cool. Yeah, I'm with you.
And then you also at first level get Draconic Resilience, which your max hit points increase by 1, and that stacks up every level. So you get this rate from level 1. By the time you hit level 20...
You've added 20 hit points.
That's amazing.
Which is big for a
That's
sorcerer.
good. It's good.
I mean, it's really good. It's good. Yeah.
You pair this with toughness and you're a D8.
Yeah.
Like, it makes you far more hardy than any wizard ever will be.
Yep. And I also like this starting at first level with Draconic Resilience. If you're not wearing any armor, your AC is 13 plus dex.
Oh, is that where this comes up?
Yeah. Who would have thought?
I mean, I know mage armor does something similar.
But you can double dip on that. That'd be nice.
No, you can't double dip on that.
No?
This one says your AC becomes 13 plus dexterity when you aren't wearing armor. The mage armor says your AC becomes 13 plus dexterity modifier.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, does it?
Yeah. You can't double dip. Unfortunately, they don't add. This isn't 3.5.
My 3.5 is showing. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, so we put my 3.5 away.
Oh my god. There it is. There it is, ladies and gentlemen.
At 6th level,
I thought we were safe from that this episode.
at 6th level, you get Elemental Affinity, which is when your ancestry comes into play. The color that you pick starts becoming a little more useful. You get to add your charisma damage.
Your charisma modifier.
Your charisma modifier to damage of that type. So you're doing, say you're a gold dragon, you're doing fire damage. You get to add your charisma modifier to that fire damage.
Nice.
You're doing lightning damage. You get to add it to lightning damage. It goes hand in hand. I like it. It's quick. It's simple.
Cool.
And you get it at 6th level. I think that's a great spot.
Yeah, it's a good time to do it. Yeah, makes sense.
You can also spend 1 sorcery point to gain resistance of that type, but it lasts for 1 hour.
I love this.
Yeah.
It's cheap, and it works. I was playing a game a little while ago, and I had resistance to fire, and like it's
Makes sense.
It
When you're
makes
going to fight the red dragon.
oh it does
Is he in there? Boom. Let's go.
right.
Anyone else? No.
So I mean, you can kind
And
of
it doesn't require concentration. It's got a cheap gate to get into it. I love it.
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. At 14th level, you get dragon wings, which are very similar to your celestial wings you got with your divine
Except
sword.
they're dragon's
wings.
wings.
Yeah.
Are they from your dragon ancestry though? Your bloodline? So would they be black if your Draconic Bloodline comes from a black dragon, or?
I would imagine. I mean, it doesn't say specifically, but it flavor it as you want.
The one thing I am now just noting reading this, the Celestial Divine Soul wings state you gain a fly speed of 30.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's your movement speed.
This is your movement speed.
Ooh.
So if your movement speed's 60 feet, you can fly 60 feet.
Like if you got a mobile feet or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. I also love the idea of a white dragonborn sorcerer with red wings, but whatever.
You can create and dismiss them as bonus actions, like the other ones.
Yep.
The thing that I liked in it is it says specifically you can't manifest wings if you have armor or that isn't made to accommodate them. If you're wearing clothing, say you've got an expensive cloak or whatever,
Yeah.
and it's not made to accommodate wings, it will rip them apart. Your shirt will come off.
Love it.
Just rip straight through.
Hulkamania.
Yeah.
Right? So they're neat. They're a little simple. I don't like wings. Like
Flying solves so many environmental issues in the game.
it does, but it seems weak to go from 6th level to 18th level,
14th level.
with only having wings in the middle.
Well,
like
you get your normal sorcerer abilities at the same time as you're going through
Now
here.
you've got aerial combat, and I like that.
And all of yes, I love it.
I do too, but a lot of people don't use aerial combat.
Well, they should, Dave.
I agree.
Especially as a sorcerer.
With Draconic
You now have wings. You are now flying up 115 feet above the battlefield, throwing down fireballs. You are doing what Terry loves, casting enlarge on yourself, swooping down with your dragon wings, picking up that person, flying up and letting go.
Letting go of them, and then landing on top of them.
And then jumping on top of them.
I guess.
Right? Like the wings are so powerful if used well. They are also game breaking if used way too well. Or if a DM is not in some way, shape, or form accounting for them or
If they're just not prepped for wings,
right? Like, I have done full dungeon crawls with someone playing a variant tiefling that gets wings at first level.
Hilarious.
Right? It's hilarious, but okay, well, you guys have to cross this chasm. Okay, well, we'll just give the rope to the tiefling and
Yeah,
fly
you got to
across.
think outside your field. But that's when I just send down a lot of imps or something like that.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah, he lands on the other side and gets attacked by cloakers.
No, that's
Yeah.
when... How much rope do you have? 50 feet? Oh, guys, it's 60 feet across.
It was 54 feet. That says 50 on your sheet. Nope. It's italics.
At 18th level, the Draconic Bloodline gets Draconic Presence, which you have to use 5 sorcery points to use.
I'm sorry, 5?
5.
5. That is more than a quarter of your sorcery points at this level.
Yeah, well, I mean, you get 20, so it is a quarter.
At this level, it's 18, so it's more than a quarter.
Not quite a
18, I
quarter,
guess.
but it's 5 out of 20. Come on, Dave.
That's true. Sorry. I'm an intern. I'm still learning. As an action, you can exude aura of awe or fear. It's got a 60-foot range. It lasts a minute, or when your concentration fails. And if the creature you cast it on is successful, it won't work on them for 24 hours.
I freaking hate this.
Say that again. What happens? You got to say it again. It's fine. I like it.
So, here's the reason why I hate it. You are an 18th level spellcaster.
Yes.
You are going to spend a quarter of your expendable pool,
Give or take.
give or take, to gain a fear effect, which by 18th level, 90% of your players are immune to.
By 18th level, everything's frightened of everything else on the battlefield. So.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Like,
If
it's
you're flying
it's
above
just
them,
a little bit of
throwing
walking
fireballs with
backwards.
your
And-
giant dragon wings.
And
Yeah.
you have to maintain concentration on it, which means you cannot cast any spells that have concentration,
Which is a lot at that point.
which is a ton.
Yeah.
And on top of all of it, for 1 minute, each hostile creature has a saving throw for charmed or frightened. I like the charmed, but again, a lot of things are going to be immune to charmed at this point. If they succeed, they're immune to it for 24 hours. I mean, I know that kind of matches with the normal frightful presence of a dragon.
Yeah, dragon, yeah.
But like this seems weak for an 18th level ability. And like I've said with a lot of the other things with sorcery points, the cost for this ability is far too high.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, especially when you're looking at how cheap some of the meta magic feats are. Right? You know, you can cast most of them for 5.
You can cast literally all of them for 5.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like...
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Like, this should be 1. Honestly, for an 18th level, this should be 1, maybe 2 points. I can understand 2 points.
Yeah, 2. Yeah, because you're going
Right.
to have a lot of sorcery points at that point. But yeah.
But super situational as well, right? Like, you blow that 2 sorcery points to
I'd
have
tell
a
you what,
60-foot aura of charm. That's impressive.
I'm not going to use it, though. Well, maybe this right situation
right
might come up, but it's
circumstance.
situational. I don't want situational at what's that 18th level? That's not your capstone ability, right? Or it was
No, it is the bloodline. It is the sorcerous origin capstone.
yeah, but I don't want something situational for the capstone. I want something that I can drop and it's going to be effective all of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I didn't mind it up until that point. Yeah. Guys, any last ones on the Draconic Bloodline there before we move on?
No, I mean it's the go-to. It's the traditional. That is what sorcerers kind of started off as, is Draconic Bloodline sorcerers.
Yeah.
Right. It is the traditional. We've noticed a lot as we've been doing these class overviews. We've noticed a lot of them have like the stereotypical, they have the stereotypical, the weird, and the one that lets you be the opposite a little bit more,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Or something along those lines. So this is the stereotypical,
Yeah.
right? It makes sense. I love it. Your Draconic Bloodline sorcerer is going to be the guy who casts the fireball into that room of full of spider webs.
But that's what we expect, and that's
Yeah.
really the only thing we expect.
Yep. Yep, you would. Hey, Dave?
Yep.
And that's happened to 2 out of 3 of the people at this table, so...
It happened to one of the people at this table.
Yeah, he got out.
You got out, but you cast
It
it,
happened from one other person at
Well,
this table.
Very
that's all
first time I ever played.
You're welcome.
All right,
to the game, bitch.
We're moving on. Before we move on to topic 3 and we start talking about creative builds, we want to do a shout out. And Dave, I believe you had a shout out that you would like to do for some people out there.
Yes. as most of you know already, I don't think I've said it too much. I come from a 3.5 background.
Yep.
And I want to shout out my buddy Justin. He's my DM on Wednesdays, and he has done a wonderful job introducing me to 5th edition. And he's kind of rekindled my love of playing the game. I've been a forever DM, forever. And I was able to sit down and play again.
Awesome.
And he's really, helped me.
I've met him. He's a good guy.
He is. He's
guy
creative, and he tells a great story. He's a natural storyteller, so it's nice to see, because that's something that I wasn't very good at. I was more combat heavy, and Justin, yay,
cool. Nice. Thanks, Justin. Moving on, and just in time for that shout out. So,
nice segue.
See, Dan, his name is Justin, but I was creating urgency in the podcast by using his name to make a joke.
I get it.
Okay.
Thanks for explaining it to me.
Moving on to topic 3. Creative builds. We'll roll in a second, but we're going to talk about how to use archetypes creatively, how to counter stereotypes if that's the point you want to put across, some unique character flavor, and then after that, right at the end, as always, each of us will bring a single new creative idea for a character. Grab a die. I want the black one, please. Dave, you can choose any one. I got 13. Dan got 10. Dave got 9.
So that's the same order.
Oh.
T-Money, what you got?
T-Money. I want to talk about how to use archetypes creatively, but at the same time, how to counter stereotypes. And I'll talk about the archetypes first. So you may have your Scarlet Witch type sorcerer, just completely chaotic and all of his powers coming out of them, and you kind of usually have that angry sort of teenager is kind of a good go-to for a sorcerer. But I think if you find one thing about them and you flip it, you can use archetypes creatively. So you may have the angry teenager that's really reluctant to have their powers. I think, Dave, you said that before. And what about the person that doesn't want to have the power, but it keeps coming out of them because it's sorcerer power? So all you need to do to make something a little bit more creative is choose one element about them and just flip it on its head or reverse it or adjust it away from what people are expecting, but keep everything else the same if you want to play an archetype type character. If you want to counter a stereotype, that's when I go into much more detail on the character sheet. It takes a little bit of time, but I would build a standard archetype type character for a sorcerer, look at all of the traditional things that you see, and then go through one at a time and start to flip them on their head. So you don't need to have the roaming hermit, murder hobo sorcerer that's full of all this natural power and whatever. You can make them a noble. Flip that on their head. And you can have that their power is well known. You can have it may be viewed as a curse, not a gift. It's well known.
Your Elsa's.
Yeah, exactly. Elsa is a sorcerer. Dan? Perfect.
I have 2 daughters. I'm allowed to reference Frozen.
But that's great, right? Yeah. She tries to hold it in, and she's known in high esteem, and people know she has this power. They tell her not to use this power. We have to hide it. And then let it go, let it go. I am one with the wind and snow.
That's not the melody
I didn't know. That was it.
No, that's not the melody at all.
How does it go?
I'm not singing on this podcast. It's not happening.
I thought that was it. Was it?
No.
Dave, was that it?
I have no idea. I do not have daughters.
So that is really what I wanted to put across with how we can adjust things is you have to be quite structured with it. Write out a regular, traditional, stereotypical character and then go around the boxes in the character sheet and start to flip it on his head, and you will start to get something a little bit more creative. And then all of a sudden, you go away from Negasonic Teenage Warhead and you get Elsa.
Love it.
Yeah, I like it.
Who's next?
I guess, that was me on the list. Honestly, man, I love the idea of throwing in and injecting unique character flavor into any sort of character you do. Mm-hmm. And I think sorcerers are really ripe for this because your spells manifest in any way, shape, or form that you kind of wish them to. There's a lot of freedom given to you to describe how your spells are manifesting themselves. Now, you could go the Scarlet Witch route and cast Catapult, which is a spell in D&D 5e.
I love that spell.
Which I love, but it's basically all Scarlet Witch does in the Marvel MCU movies is grab things and throw them across the room like she's some sort of Jedi. No, she's reality-altering mutant. But you see, every time she does that, there's this flare of this red energy that is throwing them, right? Have the same thing with have that unique flavor. I had a character in one of my groups build Wild Magic Sorcerer who every single time he manifests or casts a spell, he did it through song. And so he would have to play this family inherited song in order to access his magical ability. Right? And his magical ability came through this song. He was an inheritor background, and the inheritance was the song. The song itself is magical. He has no magic powers in and of himself. He just knows the secret of the song. Right?
Right.
And that's how his wild magic pours out. And I love that. And I would encourage players and DMs out there to work together to build in really unique ways that spells are being manifested.
Yeah, I think this is another class where be very open with your DM. Talk to them about what you're thinking. This is one you can get really creative with.
Yeah, right? This is the one where you're casting Magic Missile and it spells your name in the air before it hits. Or something along those lines, right? Like,
and everybody stops and watches it go around like a big signature.
Yeah.
And it hits.
And I hope your name's not Charity Flanagan of the North Carolina Flanagans, because that's going to be spinning forever before it hits.
I like the idea of the delayed magic missile that just types out an entire paragraph or something, like Star Wars style at the beginning of the movie. And then 2 turns later, it hits.
Yeah. Dot, bam!
I love it. But there's so many interesting options. You as a player can kind of just have fun with this, right? And all it is flavor. Nothing will impact the spell. Right? The spell is going to be the spell is going to be the spell every single time.
Yeah.
This just adds the flavor. That adds a little bit of added burst that will really give you an idea of your character. Because, you know, your wizard's going to sit there and they're going to grab chalk and they're going to draw the runes on the ground and they're going to mutter themselves through their books and be generally bookish, weird nerds with their oddly powerful cat. Mm-hmm. But you have the opportunity to be that guy who comes in and is like, no, man, every single time I cast a spell, I emit an odor. Depending on what school the spell is.
If it's fireball, it's just like sulfur.
It smells like
I love
farts.
the smell of fireball in the morning.
Yeah, right? Like, your fireball smells like napalm, right? Like, you could have these weird sensory effects with them. And no matter what it is, even if you're a dragon, like a Draconic Bloodline dragon, sorcerer, you can do this, right? Have, every time you cast a spell, if you are a blue dragon bloodline, have little shots of electricity form and go. Mm-hmm. Not enough to do electricity or lightning damage, but enough to, like, I don't know, maybe make the hair stand on end.
Or just give one of those annoying static shocks to everybody that you touch.
Yeah, right?
Or just charge up magic items whenever you hold them.
And that's actually a good point. These effects don't necessarily even have to happen while you are casting spells. They could just be part of you.
Yeah.
Right? You're walking along, you're having a social encounter, and because you're a hypercharged blue dragonborn, blue draconic bloodline sorcerer, you're giving annoying little shocks, right? You're a wild magic sorcerer, and you're walking along. Nature's giving you this power, and every step you take, like weeds start to grow, or the grass is just greener in that spot.
What about just 1 damage to everybody you touch? What about that for a lonely life?
Then you're rogue. You just seep a hit point out of them every single time you touch them.
Yeah.
That's sad. Anyways, Dave, what you got?
I found that most people just kind of like stick to a sorcerer and play a sorcerer. A lot of other classes, fighter, barbarian, it's really easy to cross-class into others. Mm-hmm. But sorcerer, once you're in it, you're kind of in it.
You're in it. Yeah.
So I kind of like the idea of branching off into other classes as well.
I'm sorry.
Did you hear this?
I'm sorry. You too are a multi-class hole.
No, I'm not. Not normally. But I think with this...
No. Embrace it.
No.
Go with it.
Don't touch me.
Let it fill your heart with joy.
Don't, that's awful.
Stop stroking my shoulder.
Okay. What are we multi-classing with?
You could do just about anything.
Not barbarians.
No, I was thinking with the... No, probably not.
I rage. Well, there goes all your spells. Bye.
No, that's what Jamie did. He multi-class sorcerer and barbarian.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
It worked quite well, actually. Yeah.
How would that affect your armor class?
On armor defense.
You're not...
You go with whatever's the higher total.
So that would actually be...
And, I mean, what it means is when you rage, you are raging, and you're a melee powerhouse.
But he was unarmored defense, so he wasn't wearing armor.
Yeah, I like that. I was thinking that if you got into the Draconic Bloodlines, you could kind of use the dragon that gave you your power as your warlock sugar daddy. Work that in there somehow.
Sure.
Pretty much the only thing I wouldn't cross-class with is wizard, because I feel like there's a natural butting of heads there. They're not the same.
Yeah, and
I don't think they would be.
don't know if I'd hear of maybe someone has a creative background, why somebody who was naturally imbued with magic would need to study it to use it. Like, it doesn't seem to make sense.
No, I'm with you on that one. Wizard sorcerer kind of feels weird, and also makes you very multiple.
And if you combine the words wizard and sorcerer, it kind of sounds like Worcestershire. Nobody can say that. So I'll be playing a level 7.
Sorcerer.
Sorcerer. Sure.
Swizzard.
Worcestershire.
Worcestershire. Okay, let's go. Okay, should we do? Are you done, Dave?
Oh, sure.
Should we do creative builds?
Sure.
Unique creative builds. That's mine.
No, you.
How dare you? Mine's the black one. What did I get? 9.
19.
In the box, Dan. Jesus fuck.
Damn it, Dan. Where'd it go?
Now we've lost it.
We've lost it. I gotta use a different dice.
Now we've lost it.
A 2.
2.
2.
3.
3. Oh, side note before we move on. When I was playing in the Tuesday night group, the Dave also plays it.
And Justin.
Dave does this stuff. And Justin.
Yeah.
Go on. Did you see the point where I tried to roll 2 dice into my dice box one at a time and they both flew out?
Yes.
I lost one. Knew I'd lost it, couldn't find it, and I was so embarrassed that I did that on my first night at that table. Just left it there. It's somewhere in the apartment. It was so bad. It was like right in front of me, and I just like 90 degrees threw it off to the side. Rolled another one that then fell onto the floor. Somebody at the table, I forget who, pointed out where it was to me, but I knew there was another one over like by the dog, like 10 feet away. I was like, I'll just leave that one.
Fantastic.
Anyway.
Okay, Terry, what's this unique build?
Oh, it was me going first?
Yeah.
Okay, I touched on it a little bit earlier. Maybe it's not too unique, but I added some my own sort of unique things. I love the idea of the sorcerer, the natural power that just keeps growing and growing and growing, and it can't be controlled to the point where it can't be controlled. Work with the DM on this. The other characters don't necessarily need to know this is the case. It can come from the character's background, where something they are wearing or some spell is on them is preventing this power from getting... It's kind of like Jean Grey in Phoenix. That's how I'm looking at it. It's preventing this power from escaping, but it may be something that can take damage. So it may be something that they're wearing, and it's the other characters don't necessarily know why every time this person gets hit, they're getting more and more irate, or they're getting more and more worried, because it may be something they're wearing is being damaged, and once it's gone, boom, they go full Phoenix style. You can even talk to your DM at the start. They may want you to be the big bad at the end. They may want this power to come out and get more and more chaotic. They may want you, Dan, you talked about earlier about the environment around you starting to change, and the other characters may not know why it's happening. Where they're like almost like regional effects, like if you're close to a dragon's lair. Why is this happening? Why is this storm seemingly following us? Or why is, the temperature increasing or something like that? But I love the idea of power that is being contained but doesn't want to be contained, and something is going to be getting damaged, or maybe you have to pray or something every night to try and get divine help. But I love the idea of the power which is getting too strong and is eventually going to come out, and maybe you will be the big bad.
Cool. What you got, Dave?
I know we've already talked about it, but going back to my...
If you say 3.5, Dave.
No, Draconic Bloodlines. In 3.5. No. With the Draconic Bloodlines, I really like the idea of the Draconic Bloodline.
Love it.
That just...
Sorry to snipe you earlier there, bud.
Yeah, it's all right. I really like it. It just creates a strange dynamic where you can...
Are you running a different bloodline than your type of Dragonborn?
You would have to stay unique. And I think it's fun. In our Tuesdays, I'm doing a Triton Barbarian that's a Storm Herald.
That's right.
And through all of that, I have resistance to cold and fire. And I like that. That makes it so that every time the DM throws something at me, I'm like, well, actually, was it lightning or poison? No. Acid? No. I'm good. It's just, I like how you can kind of stack and stack and stack, keep a theme to it while still being true to what you want to do.
Cool. Yeah, I like it.
I like it. Dan?
Okay, so I've already mentioned one of the unique builds, and this was my kudos to Brad, who's been on the podcast.
Thanks, Brad.
The Clueless Game Master. He is the one who rolled up this halfling character who is an inheritor, whose family is gifting this song, and his spells all are embodied by this song. I love this type of character. And it got me thinking, and this is the one I'm going to throw on the table today. way back in the day, you built something called the Trip Willy deck, Terry. This was a magic item.
Well, Adam did. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
you and Adam worked together on this one.
Trip Willy?
A Trip Willy deck. Yes.
Trip as in Trip that guy Willy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right.
And one of the big cool things about this deck is you would pull out a card and say a magic word, and the effect of the card would happen. And I figured, what if your sorcerer powers, your abilities, your everything else, the verbal components are a mundane, everyday word, and every single time you say that word, that spell is going to cast.
Oh, God.
So now as you're leveling up your character, you have to do this with probably an experienced player who is going to know how to roleplay a little bit better.
Yeah.
Because there are words you're avoiding in everyday conversation, lest you accidentally unleash a fireball.
I'll make it really simple. I would have it as the word fire. Do not say fire.
Yeah, right? You hit fire and you cast a firebolt, right? You say ball and you cast a fireball.
It's not what I was expecting.
Right? Yeah.
Casting large.
You cast big. Or sorry, you say the word size and all of a sudden you change depending.
Yeah.
Right? Like, now your character's sitting there and you're a high charisma caster. Mm-hmm. You are someone who is supposed to be good in social situations. And you walk up and be like, hey, that hot thing over there?
Yeah. Everybody just thinks you're an idiot. You should have it that, like, your character has, like, it plays it off as, like, long-term memory loss or something like that.
Or something. Or every time you level, you tell your DM what spells you want to cast. You choose your spells, but he chooses the word, and now you have to discover what the word is.
I would never do that with Adam as my DM.
Never with Adam as the DM, because he's
wordy
and definitely...
Well, he wouldn't choose, like, nouns or
I would say the word has something to do with that ability. Like, if you said the word jump, which is a verb, you get, the spell jump is cast.
Yeah.
Right?
Even if you say the word see, you would cast darkness. Something like that. Because you would... How many times do players say, like, can I see him? Or, yeah. I love it.
And then you have this character who's sitting there and, like, choosing their words very, very carefully.
I would love it.
And when they're level 20, they're mute. They're done trying. They're like, guys...
Just pointing.
Thing there.
I'm sorry, did you say thing? Wall of fire.
Thing there.
I love it. I love that. And that just adds to the chaos. That's great. Cool. Okay. Anything else that anybody wants to add to anybody's unique character build there before we move on to the end?
No, man. I love sorcerers. Like I said, they're one of my favorite classes.
I got no beef with sorcerers. I had zero. I'm very minor with a couple of class things.
The only thing I really dislike about this entire thing is in the Draconic Bloodline how they don't get a breath weapon. That's my only big complaint.
Yeah.
I feel like they should have a breath weapon.
And I love the idea of like
Dragonborn.
Oh, but I love the idea of like a halfling having a breath weapon.
Terry has just said he loves the idea of something small having a power. It's a bizarre world. Chaos is truly being enabled here.
It's a regional effect of playing Sorcerers. All right, team. Well, that's it. That is it for this week's episode on Sorcerers. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube, as well as dozens of other podcast apps. You can also find us at www.itsamimic.com or email us at info@itsamimic.com. Thanks for listening to the It's a Mimic podcast, and make sure to check us out on next week's episode when we are covering, Dan?
Wizards.
Wizards, that's right. I forgot it was Wizards, but I'm excited about Wizards as well.
I mean...
Oh, shit.
Oh, shit. Beer on the floor.
Thank you for listening to It's a Mimic. Check us out online at itsamimic.com or on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Have questions you would like answered by the guys on the show? Send them an email to itsamimic@gmail.com. Tune in every Tuesday for more.
I'm getting sick of the trope that nerds, all we know and all we understand is nerdy stuff, and we don't know things about popular culture. And some people say, and I still can't believe it, that we don't know anything about women. So I'm going to...
No, that still tracks.
It still tracks.
with at least two of the three people in this room.
So I'm going to ask the three of us, both of you, 3 questions that I know definitely all women know, and most people understand pop culture. and I want to see if you know the answer.
Okay, I just have one quick contention to this.
Sure.
Because being a nerd is quickly becoming the pop culture. It is becoming the frontline culture.
That's right.
If not by the time this episode is released, the mainstream culture by some way, shape, or form. You have big name A-list celebrities playing Dungeons and Dragons openly.
Sure.
Right? Like, I would say, like, we don't know I'm saying traditional pop culture.
I'm saying we're breaking out of the tropes, though.
Yeah.
I have a question. You
Okay,
guys
what
can
are
answer
these
these in... There's only 3. You guys can answer these in any order. I've had outside help for these.
Okay.
I was proud to say that I actually already knew the answers to these questions. Question number 1. What is a Manolo Blahnik?
I have no idea.
Say it one more time.
What is a Manolo Blahnik?
Sounds French.
It does sound
Manolo Blahnik. It is... I want to say, because I'm placing it close to colonic, and I'm like, is it some sort of medical procedure?
Pretty shitty.
Okay, Dan thinks of Manolo Blahnik as a medical procedure. Intern Dave, any guesses?
A French wine? I don't know.
Both very far off. I would argue that Dave is slightly closer. It is a fancy shoe. Manolo Blahnik's a very fancy shoes up there with like Christian Louboutin and Jimmy Choo.
I was super happy
I don't
that
know what those are either.
Shoes?
I was super happy the other day because I found a deal on at Walmart for a pair of shoes and I got them for $15 and I was super jazzed about it. I'm like, yes, new pair of shoes for the next 4 months.
I have everyday shoes and outdoor boots.
We'll add some we'll add some zeros to that, Dan, and you can afford a pair of Manolo Blahniks.
Okay. So how much do they go for?
Hundreds.
Hundreds.
Yeah.
Great.
Hundreds.
Cool.
Question number 2. Can you name 4 Kardashians and I will accept Jenners?
Okay. Between us or individually?
Well, if one goes and gets some right, then the other...
There's the one that David Schwimmer played in the OJ People versus the OJ Simpson thing.
Oh, yeah. Well, you have to name...
I won't give the name, but I won't give the name away. But I know, yeah. Oops.
Because he was Jenner, right? Or was he a... No, he was Kardashian.
No, he was OJ's lawyer.
I'm so out with this specific part of...
Rob?
Yeah, there's Rob. There's Chloe.
Kim.
Does Kanye count?
Kanye.
North Kardashian. Or is it Northwest?
It's Northwest. Well, West is... Yeah, Northwest.
Okay.
West is their last name. Kanye West.
Chloe?
I said Chloe.
Courtney?
Yeah.
Courtney.
So
yeah.
You guys said Chloe, Courtney, Kim, and Rob Kardashian. That is correct. No Jenners. Nobody lent on the...
Well, there's Caitlyn Jenner. Bruce Jenner.
Kate. I'm not... This is a rocky road we're going down here.
But there's Kris Jenner. That's their mom, right?
Yeah, but you said there's Caitlyn Jenner and there's Bruce Jenner. We're not allowing the two... We're not allowing the former identity. The former identity cannot be allowed as a second person.
We're going to be up to like 8 Jenners by
now. Okay, final question for you guys. What is microblading?
Oh, it's your eyebrow thing.
Oh, yeah. Dave got so good.
Yeah.
That's
I should have let Dan answer.
That's as much as I know.
Yeah.
It's the eyebrow thing.
Well, microblading is like a tattooing process, isn't it?
That's correct. You guys did that very well.
I 2 reasons why I know this. One, I have a wife. And I also have incredibly blonde eyebrows. And my wife has multiple times whenever we pass a place that is like advertising microblading, sits there and goes, "Oh, we should get that done for you." And I'm like, "No, I will look like a freak."
Real good Viking look, though.
I do. And like, I gotta respect the fact that I always look shocked because I don't have eyebrows.
Yeah, that's true. I've never noticed that before because I'm not very perceptive.
Yeah.
And neither are my D&D characters, but I'll see that.
Are those the 3 questions?
That's the 3 questions, yeah. You guys did...
We did all right.
Okay.
You got 1 out of 3. I didn't expect you to get any, to be honest, so we'll say C?
C's get degrees.
C's do get degrees.
I'm into it.